Senator Alex Padilla of California is here. He's a Democrat. He's on the Senate Judiciary Committee. He was one of the Democrats who walked out in protest earlier today. Senator, why did you walk out of today's committee vote on Emile Bove?
I mean, a couple of reasons. What happened today in the Senate Judiciary Committee is just the latest example of Republicans sort of not just tearing down the norms of the Senate Judiciary Committee, but the Senate as a whole. If they're not going to abide by the rules we agree to on a bipartisan basis for how the committee should function. I mean,
what rules were they not abiding by?
Affording Senator Booker an opportunity to ask questions or even to call for a vote on bringing forward the Inspector General, the whistleblower that has come out publicly about Emile Bove's comments, things like the targeting anybody involved with the prosecutions around January 6th, things like if a court orders that come out against what the Trump administration wanted, they're just going to ignore them. I mean, the committee deserves to hear it directly and to consider it before any confirmation votes on Emile Bove. Republicans don't want to hear it. Mm-hmm. They don't want to hear it. And Emile Bove is the number 3 top official in the Justice Department, with everything going on around the Epstein case and the Epstein files, the involvement of the Attorney General herself. He's probably been in the room. He's probably been at the table. What role did he play in determining there is a list, there isn't a list, should we release files or not? The committee deserves to hear this before taking action, but the Republican majority doesn't want to hear it. They're trying to squelch any information that Donald Trump doesn't want to go out, and Democrats aren't going to be a party to that.
Back in your home state of California, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, as well as the Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum, visited Alcatraz Island today. Here's some of what Bondi said.
Alcatraz could hold the worst of the worst. It could hold middle-class violent prisoners. It could hold illegal aliens. It could hold anything. This is a terrific facility.
What was your reaction?
But here they go again. Right? It's nothing but bad news for Donald Trump between the Epstein files, between economic indicators, prices are going up. So in classic Trump fashion, let's distract, right? Let's talk about something else. Alcatraz is not a serious proposal. The cost of bringing that up to minimum standards to serve as a detention facility, we've been hearing from Republicans all year long. They want to reduce the federal budget. They're looking for cost savings, not unnecessary.
How much would it cost, do you know?
I'm sure more than millions, probably billions of dollars to bring it up to snuff. So this is just another effort to distract from the horrible news brought to you by the Trump administration.
Let's talk about immigration, because you recently introduced legislation which would require ICE officials to wear visible ID. The Department of Homeland Security has pushed back, saying that would subject their agents to doxing, to their identities being blasted all over the internet, and repercussions from individuals targeting them for violence or whatever. Don't they have a point?
Well, they have a partial point, but that's why I worked with former ICE agents and former ICE leaders in crafting the legislation. So are there exceptions for operations that are truly sort of covert and going after the worst of the worst? Yes, but by and large, this is proven public safety policy. Other federal law enforcement agencies are required to identify themselves, the name of the agency, and if not the name of the officer, at least a badge number. It's a policy that's in place for state law enforcement agencies across the country, local law enforcement agencies across the country. And so I believe it's in the interest not just of community safety, but the safety of the ICE agents themselves, because there's a lot of fear out there about ICE impersonators. There's been a lot of cases about people impersonating ICE for lack of this identification requirement that leads to theft, burglary, kidnapping, sexual assault, and even more. So it's a proven safety for community, safety for the officers, protect against imposters. It makes sense.
So the Pentagon had sent about 4,000, I think, National Guard members to the Los Angeles area. The Pentagon just released 2,000 of them. They were obviously all deployed there last month in response to the ICE raid and then the protests that resulted. What have you been hearing from constituents about this and the ongoing immigration raids of undocumented immigrants and others in California?
Yeah, well, this is one of the most taxpayer costly attempts by the Trump administration to escalate tensions unnecessarily. It was a political move, plain and simple. Stories are coming out. You can search it for yourself of how inefficient the time was spent by National Guardsmen and women who were taken away from other critical missions, by the way, including getting ready for peak fire season in California, or even the Marines, standing around protecting buildings where there's really no activity there in response to what? People standing up and speaking up for due process rights, First Amendment rights in Los Angeles, which is what Trump doesn't want to hear. And so he federalized the National Guard, sent in the Marines, because he doesn't want the dissent. What he wants is the spectacle. It was unnecessary. And the way ICE is going about their enforcement operations, it's increasingly cruel, increasingly extreme. For all the talk about going after the worst of the worst, as Attorney General Bondi said, or Donald Trump saying those dangerous, violent criminals, the numbers are coming out. The vast majority of folks detained do not have any serious criminal convictions. The people that are being caught up in these increasingly cruel raids are farm workers, cooks, car wash employees, restaurant employees. They were deemed essential to our economy at the tail end of the first Trump administration, at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, and now they're the main target of these cruel ICE raids. Based on these artificial quotas that are being set, there's got to be a better way. This is not in our security interest. It's not in our economic interest.
All right, Senator Padilla of California, thanks so much. Appreciate